folks, Toad here with VisorDown.com, and welcome to our first impressions and introduction to the 2021 Honda CB1000R Black Edition. So the CB1000R has been in the Honda range for some time now, and this is the kind of the biggest update that the bike has gone through since its launch. The bike that we're riding here, as I said, is the Black Edition, so this has taken over from the old Plus model, so it gets some extra goodies. And for 2021 you also get this very sexy and slinky looking black colour scheme and blacked out engine, exhaust, basically more black than you can shake a stick at. So we are going to be talking about this bike today, and then we're going to be giving it a full review, so stay tuned for that. But this is more of an overview of the model and a bit of an introduction to the CB1000R, just to give you an idea of what it is like as a first impressions review. So this is £12,999. We only have the pricing for the Black Edition. Strangely, don't have the pricing for the CB1000 Standard Edition as yet. If previous CB1000Rs are anything to go by, it's not going to be a huge amount more than the stocker, and I think on the last one it was about £1,000 more for the Plus than it was for the standard bike, so somewhere in or around that region is highly likely. So new for this year, we have got a revised engine which features a slightly different exhaust and fuel injection mapping, which is mainly to do with Euro 5, and it is putting out 143 brake horsepower and 77 pound-foot of torque at 8,250 RPM. We have no chassis changes, although the rear subframe does look different. So it's got a different finish on it for this year, and the suspension is still the same shower, separate function, big piston fork, and the balance-free rear cushion as before. We also have the Tokiko brake calipers, which are really good actually, very impressed with those, and the aluminium single-sided swing arm and the backbone styly frame. Just on the frame actually, you just can't really see where any of it is. You've got the kind of the sort of section down here that links to the barrel of the engine, but other than that it's really well hidden. It just looks like the engine is kind of hanging beneath the bike there. Another new thing for this year, we have the obligatory TFT screen. Ooh. So kind of CB1000R Africa Twin styly TFT, which kind of is becoming Honda's proprietary sort of type and style of screen. It's just like the other bikes I mentioned, they're really easy to read and fairly easy to navigate as well. Let's have a quick listen to it. It's got a really nice exhaust note to it, not too raucous until you get much higher up the rev range, and then it does have a really nice wail to it. I like a lot. So, a couple of little bits as well that I just want to highlight. These machined bits that are kind of all over the bike, those wheels as well, they are absolute filth. But yeah, these machined sections kind of adorn the bike and just liven up what could be a pretty boring colour scheme. They just really stand out and make it look a bit jewel-like. All the sort of the machining, CNC machining on all the parts is just really very nice. So that's what it is. What do I think to it? Well, I rode the previous CB1000R and the CB1000R Plus, and I always thought they were really good bikes. And I mean, it's a it's a good formula, it's a good recipe for a decent bike. You've got a really good engine, you know, a renowned sports bike engine that comes in the form of a detuned and reworked CBR1000RR Fireblade unit basically, and it's been mapped for a bit more mid-range and a bit more low end. It's had its wings clipped a little bit, so it's not quite as powerful as it once was, and then you've got top spec suspension, you've got a decent frame. So yeah, it's always going to be good. I think with this edition, the Black Edition and the extra bits on, kind of steps it up from being just good to actually great. The only real criticism that I had of the bike was when I picked it up, I took it out for a couple of shortish rides, but quite quick rides, and I found that the rear shock was heavily underdamped. It was quite boingy and pogo-y at high speed. When you were really getting hard on the power, you could just feel it squatting down. I've kind of just brought it out, and just before I brought it out just today, I've tried to stiffen up the rear spring a bit. There isn't really much adjustment you can do on it, but I've made it a little bit stiffer, and it is a lot better. It's not squatting, excuse me, half as much as it was, and yeah, it feels much more composed and much more settled, and just generally a much nicer place for me to be. So I just want to talk about the comfort of the bike, really, because Nakeds are designed so that you can sort of do a bit of everything on it, and this to me feels like a bike that you could spend a lot of time in the saddle without any issues. The pegs aren't really very sporty, they're quite low set, which is nice, so you've got like a nice relaxed lower body riding position. Your legs aren't kind of stuffed up underneath your arse, which is good, and the upper body ergonomics as well just seem really relaxed and very nice, and sort of just doesn't really give you any problems whatsoever. The seat is super comfy, very nicely contoured as well, and it's nice and soft. You will notice that this one has got this seat cover on it. You can buy like an accessory bum pad for your pillion, I believe, and it does have the pillion footrest on there ready for that. Also, I want to talk about these wheels very quickly. They are absolutely gorgeous, and they wouldn't look out of place on a £1 million hypercar, but they do make getting a chain lock through there quite difficult because those spokes are quite small. So if you are going to go out with it and take it out and about, and you want to lock it up when you're out, you are going to be restricted to just a cable lock, because even my thinnest chain lock is an absolute pain in the arse to thread through the spokes. So there we go, that's the CB1000R Black Edition 2021 model. And don't worry, this isn't the full review. We are going to be doing a full review once I've had a chance to put a couple of 100-mile days on the Honda. So stay tuned, and there will be further updates very soon. Cheers, folks.